Hello, and welcome to the Mr. 50mm YouTube channel. I'm Mr. Kodachrome. Wait, nope, that's not right. I'm Chris. For today, we're going to look at the Olympus mju-1, otherwise known as the Olympus Stylus. But mine says Mu. It's right there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. So we're gonna go with that. I am late to the film party, and I know I'm not directly on trend, as they say. I don't have the mju-2, but I do have this, again, original Mu. Now, if you are, into the full meaty camera reviews for film cameras, let me know in the comments below, because, I would like to know if this is something that you'd like to see more of, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing too much of these, just because they require more time and more money, since I gotta send my film out. Then when I get them back, I gotta scan them on my slow Polaroid SprintScan 4000 Plus. But if you do feel like more of these long form review videos for filmy film cameras, give this channel a sub. I'll give the video a like if you like it. And, if you are, feeling super generous and would really want me to do more of these, maybe a super thanks, that would be super appreciated. Otherwise, we'll get into this review. Okay, so we're going to start this off with a tiny bit of story time. Now, I picked up this Mu at a local thrift shop here in Halifax land, and this was some years ago. I don't super remember when, possibly 2021 or 2022. Anyways, it was in a thrift shop, and it was 20 Canadian buckaroos. So even at the time, I knew this was a bit of a steal of a deal. So I got it. So when I did get it, I didn't immediately take it out to shoot. Because I more actually enjoyed just kind of looking at it. It has got a good styling, and it kind of sat around as an ornamental camera in my house, just looking pretty. Eventually, though, I was curious enough to give it a go, and I bought one of the batteries for it, and it fired right up. So I went ahead and loaded in a roll of 36 shots. Now, of course, me being me, I loaded in a horribly expired roll of film, but, I wasn't super worried, and I do kind of like the look of expired filmy film. Also, I got it super cheap a real long time ago, so it's really expired. Anyways, that being said, after I loaded up the film, I never really intended to just, roll out and start shooting as many photos as I can just to burn through the roll. I just wanted to take this camera whenever I felt like it, snap a few shots, and, eventually develop it whenever it was done. Now, I do admit that in some scenarios during the course of me owning this camera, that I was more snap happy than others, and, there's a particular stint in 2022, in the middle of 2023, where I was going on a couple work trips, and I knew, I wanted to have a camera with me, so I always packed this thing with me for a couple snappy snaps. It's been with me from Montreal to Lisbon, occasionally snapping pictures along the way, occasionally not. Now, fast forward to summer of 2023, and I thought I was done with the roll. I came to shot 36, and I was eagerly awaiting for the final shot to be done so I could rewind. So, take the camera out. At this point, I just want to finish, so I'm just pointing at random things. I click, and it advances. Shot 37, and I go, cool, I loaded this thing pretty well. We're doing good. But I want to finish this up. So I point at another random thing just because, click, it advances, shot 38. I'm like, oh, I did a really good job. So, I was like, all right, this gotta be it. So I click at another thing, it advanced, and I'm at 39 shots. So when I saw 39, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I think this is broken now. Now, for a roll of 36, I've never been that careful loading the film, and this is just using a automatic winder. And on my other cameras, I'm never like, trying to squeeze out the maximum number of shots. I'm just trying to load up to shoot. So, never thought I'd get to see 39 shots. So I thought, like I said, I thought it was broken, and I kind of got angry because I was like, man, I just took this thing halfway around the world over the past little while, and the advanced motor might be pooched. So I closed the camera up, actually just put it in a box. Now, fast forward again, a solid 1 year after that, in 2024, I actually forgot that I had one of these. So I dig it out of the box, and I double check the battery's still good. I open it up, just not thinking, and I click the shutter. And you know what? It advanced, it tugged the film, and then it rewound. So it wasn't broken. This roll of film that was in there just happened to have 39 shots. So the next day, I eagerly went to my local camera / film place, and I dropped it off. So and about 10 days later, I got my pictures back. So that's where we're at with this story. Fun thing. Just, click and click until the camera finishes, I suppose, is the moral of that one. I don't know. I just thought I'd tell it because I thought it was really kind of dumb of me to leave a camera for a whole year, being literally one button press away from having finished a roll of film. What is the Olympus mju-1? Well, the Olympus mju-1 is a camera, and it was introduced in 1991. It is fully automatic, fully featured, and it's an ergonomic compact camera of the 90s, with the intent being to fit into one hand, which it does quite well. Look at that. Now, the camera is equipped with the 35mm f3.5 lens, so it is slower than that on the mju-2 that has an f2.8 lens. The AF system on the camera is an infrared system that is basically an infrared rangefinder, which translates the range info into lens movement to focus the system. Now, this actually will kind of do a half press to get an idea of whether or not it can or cannot focus, and indicate green if you're good and red if you're no good, and the element won't actually shift until you press the shutter button. Now, this system apparently has 100 focus steps. Impressive. Now, the camera in general, Olympus claims, sold over 5 million units. Now, the camera, if it isn't obvious, it takes 35mm film. You can see in the back of the, taped up window there, I have some film loaded in. Now, it reads DX coated film, so if you don't have a film that is DX coated, the camera automatically sets it to ISO 100. Now, the camera will detect and set films from 50 to ISO 3200. The camera has a shutter capable of doing 1/15 of a second to 1/500th of a second, and it has a built-in self-timer, and its film advance and film rewind are automatic and motorized. Also, there is a built-in flash, if you didn't know what that was over there. Now, I would normally want to bring up the original MSRP for this thing, but honestly, looking online, I couldn't find it. If you happen to know what it is, leave a comment down below and let us know as well. Thank you very much. The design of the Mju. Honestly, to me, this thing, it is sublime, very nice, and just a beautiful thing to look at. Now, one of my favorite things is this sliding mechanism. The sliding mechanism is great, and when you pull it apart, the lens moves forward like so. Also makes a tiny noise, which is very cute. Now, when you're ready to shoot and you're ready to open it, you will notice that the sliding bit there becomes a bit of a perch for your hand. There's also one for the back where your thumb would be, and it is pretty solid, even though this thing is all plastic and feels a bit slippy. But when it's open and I'm holding it, it kind of has a fairly good feel, and I am confident I will not let it go. So overall, ergonomically, this thing pretty solid. Clearly, it's not as deep and not as nice as an SLR grip, but given how compact this thing is, it is excellent. The shutter button, it is a big chunky button, as you can see, and it half presses as well. It's got a very distinctive feel from the half press and full press, so you'll always know which one you're doing. You may have also noticed that there is a self timer and the flash button there. Now, they are small, but they're not inconvenient. At the same time, you're not going to accidentally press these things. Oh, let's see, please focus. Sony is confused. Or else let's just give it the front of the camera and maybe it'll reclaim. There we go. Now you can see it. Yes, yes. Flash button, self timer. Now, this thing really only has one other button, and that is the manual rewind button somewhere here, which does require a pen tip or another small object to trigger it, which is good since I don't want to accidentally rewind my film. Now, and my other favorite part about the design for this camera is this window up here. It's got all sorts of things on it. Again, you have your flash, which is the big one over here. You have a self timer light right over there. And you got your rangefinder windows on the sides. One for transmit, one for receive, I assume. Now, on the here we go. This one, this one, that is your viewfinder tunnel. It is very teeny tiny. And the other one here, that is your light meter there. So overall, many things happening in this area of the camera. Now, honestly, combined with the smoothness of the camera, as well as some of the hard lines, I think this whole area of the camera gives it a neat retro futury kind of look. Operating the mju. Now, you'd think this section is going to be quite tiny given the fairly small amount of buttons on there. I mean, really, you got your manual rewind there, you got your shutter button, as I said before, you got flash control and self timer. So really not much to interface with. But I personally think that this camera is the epitome of point and shoot cameras. Now, this is something that has the simplicity to operate of a point and shoot, but the power of a nice quality 35mm lens to boot. Now, that'll give you excellent quality photos combined with excellent pocketability. You can toss this camera in the pants, in a bag, and it won't really get in the way. Powering it up very quick, as you might have noticed. Slide it open and you're ready to shoot, capture the moment as it happens. Now, I will say, when you look through the finder, you'll notice that it is fairly small and tunnely, but it does the job. And, when you half press, you will actually get indications on the back whether or not it is ready to go. Let's see. There you go. You got a green for good. And if not, it'll give you a red. or at least it would. There we go. Or, sorry, not red, and amber, to let you know that you are not in the focus limit. Now, sometimes it does feel like the camera is broken when you do this, because it just feels like it just won't let you take the shot, but that is the camera saving you some film. So keep that in mind. Now, again, when the camera does its thing and it works and you're able to focus, operation, I find, is fairly quick. You know, once you have it half pressed, the camera will be primed with the focus distance, and when you fully press, the focus will rack and you will be able to take your shot in advance. There are a couple things though to double check, and at least for me, I like to have my flash off normally, so I always like to go through and toggle that to off, so I don't get surprised by a random flash coming out of my camera, and neither will my subject. Now, that being said, I think when you turn it off and you turn it back on, it'll go back to auto. So just remember to have a quick look at that tiny display to see what your flash mode is. Otherwise, like I said, you might have an unexpected flashy flash. Now, the only real criticism I have for operating the camera is the tiny tunnely viewfinder, but it is a compact point and shoot, so you can kind of forgive it. One thing I will say though is that it's pretty cool that this camera, it actually has lines to do parallax correction when you are focusing up close. So that's pretty neat. It's a small thing, but it's helpful. Image quality of the mju. Before we start, I do want to say that I did, like I said, use some rather expired film in my shooting. So color and contrast probably aren't where they should be if I had, loaded a new film. But, with a bit of post in my scan, I am personally happy with the output of the images. Again, it's not a slight against the camera, more a slight against my film habits. Now, with that being said, what sets this camera apart from your standard point and shoot of the time was that the camera is able to take actually very, very sharp images. Even though this lens isn't super duper fast, it's, fast enough that you are going to actually be able to see some separation in your background when the camera is shot wide open. Now, not only do the camera pictures look good when you're viewing them through a loop, but they look good when you scan them at 4000 dpi. Now, the camera meter, I find, also is fairly good. So when you're just clicking around, you're gonna have to trust it anyways, since there's really no way to, do any exposure comp. So have faith and it'll give you a nice photo. That being said, you probably do got to be careful in particularly contrasty situations, or if you have something backlit, since the metering thing is apparently just a single element dealie here, so it isn't doing 3D matrix metering or anything like that. But that being said, it's quite solid. If you are in one of those scenarios where you have backlit stuff, you might want to consider switching the flash to like fill mode or whatnot, just to balance out the exposure a bit. Now, as I said, I did use expired film, but even with that, I find the images to have reasonably good contrast and pretty good colors. Again, once I corrected for some of the shifting and casting in post. Now, with that, I will stop and I will let you see for yourself how the cameras look like out of the camera. Again, just a reminder, this is some expired film. It was ISO 200 and it was scanned on a Polaroid SprintScan 4000 Plus using Polaroid's Color Insight program. to conclude, if you can find these things for a reasonable price, I honestly think it's pretty worth it. Right now, they're not nearly as desired as the mju-2, and so I think based on where we're at with the price of those, it's a pretty good buy. It's also not that uncommon. Again, Olympus has 5 million of these things that were sold, so there should be plenty of them to go around. And at the time of making this video, the camera is going for around 70 to 100 USD, which again, it sounds like a lot for an old point and shoot film camera, but given the price of some alternatives, I honestly don't think it's too bad. Again, personally think worth the money, especially if you're someone that, you know, has previously just used like those focus-free point and shoot cameras. This is a big step up. Now, that's just all my take on this camera though. What do you think of the mju-1? Do you have one? Do you want one? Do you not care? You just want the mju-2 because that's the cool one? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe a super thanks? Or not. I don't know. Either way, till next time. Bye.